And joining us now is former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley. Most recently, though, he was the Social Security Commissioner under President Biden. That's exactly why I wanted to talk to him today. So, Governor, when we talk about DOJ accessing Social Security data, what's your understanding of what they want access to exactly?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't even think they know what they want exactly. I mean, every day.
But what kinds of things could they get access to?
Oh, what they could get access to is personal identifying information, yours, mine, where we live, what we've earned, what our benefits are, who we live with. I mean, all sorts of personal identifying information that is actually a crime to browse. In fact, when I was the commissioner, President Biden's commissioner of Social Security, if an employee was browsing personal identifying information without any, claimant business purpose to it, that was a fireable offense, and frequently something that we would refer people to the Office of Inspector General for criminal prosecution. Of course, the co-presidents Musk and Trump have done away with the Inspector Generals of all of the agencies. So it's hard to say where that would be referred. But I'm not sure exactly what they want. But I do know is that according to reports, there were the people, career civil servants who resigned rather than become accomplices in going through people's personal identifying information. Now, what they ultimately want to do with it, who the hell knows? I don't think they know. They have a bunch of, 19-year-old nitwits up there from DOJ that are rummaging around in personal data. What the end game is, I'm not really sure. It is already, Social Security is already the most efficient insurance corporation, private or public sector in America today. They operate with a 50-year low in staffing on less than 1% overhead. So who knows what they're up to? It
so
can't
the
be
White
good.
The White House is saying, and Garrett alluded to this, is that they're doing this to root out fraud. That's the reason that they're throwing out there. But there is an Inspector General report from 2023 that says improper payments are less than 1% of payouts. Internal estimates put it at about $72 billion over 8 years, so about $9 billion a year. It's significant, but it's actually a small percentage. Is that
Correct.
the real fraud? Like, what are they chasing here?
I don't know exactly what they're chasing. When I was commissioner, we would gather the deputy commissioners around the same table, and every 2 weeks on an agile basis, we would look at what the biggest threats of fraud were and how we can deter, prevent, get in the way of that fraud. What we found when we were there, when I was there, is that the biggest threat was actually people who are trying to, steal people's identities in order to kind of hijack Mrs. Kaczynski's check and send it to a different bank account. So that was the biggest instance of fraud that we were looking at. It is a large agency, so any sort of overpayment, underpayment mistake can have large numbers to it. But as you pointed out yourself, the percentage compared to the size of the agency and the number of people who depend on Social Security as a lifeline is actually pretty small. In fact, unlike the Department of Defense, year in and year out, Social Security gets a clean audit from, last year, I think it was Ernst & Young who was hired to do the audit. And every year they receive the SEER award from the Association of Government Accountants because of their openness, their transparency, their clarity of their reporting.
But I think you bring up there, Governor, something that's really important, which is that DOJ or the Trump administration are not the first people to look through and make sure that this agency is functioning and paying out money to the people that it's supposed to. Most recently, that job fell at your feet, or very recently, rather. So I think as people are looking at this reporting around what might be happening within Social Security, what would you say to people who are on that program, watching this, looking at that reporting? What should they do here, if anything?
They being whom? The people that
they
work
being
there?
People who are on Social Security.
Oh, I think we should all be anybody who depends on Social Security, and there are many. I mean, half of all seniors living alone depend entirely on Social Security. So these guys are men and women from DOJ. I think they have no idea of how fragile this agency is. I mean, Social Security today, serves more customers, active beneficiaries than ever because of baby boomers like me now being in the ranks of the retired. And yet, because of House Republican cuts, they are doing so with staffing that's already been reduced to a 50-year low. So the biggest threat to Social Security right now is that the co-presidents, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, drive 10,000 people out of the agency, and those benefit checks get interrupted. That's the greatest threat to Social Security now. The other stuff they spew out there about zombies getting checks and 200 million dead Americans getting checks, all total horse hockey. Not true. But what is true is that they can crater this agency. They can do it very quickly, and they have likely no idea how fragile this already depleted and overworked agency is. They're about to find out, though.